Thanks for joining us again on the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the works and worlds of Clive Barker. This is episode 145, A to Z and the Duels of Blood Part 7, which covers letters S, T, U, and V in Clive Barker's A to Z of horror. Ryan and Jose are joined by David, a news contributor, and you can find him on cinemabluster.com, that website and podcast. David and Markus are our newest blog contributors, and we thank them for the work that they do on the site. All this plus the Duels of Blood final round and some Clive Barker news. And of course, this episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the arts and medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program, where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Please join us in donating to the program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. There's a link in the show notes and on the main website at clivebarkercast.com that will take you where you need to go to get on one of his prints or art book and help out this wonderful program. Any friend of Clive Barker's is a friend of ours, and we thank Don for his support. Well, thanks. This is episode 145 of the Clive Barker Podcast. It's super early today, so I might stumble a little bit. At least for me, it's
Same
super
here.
early. I got up at 5 o'clock this morning.
Oh, wow.
So this is the A to Z and the Duels of Blood Part 7. So we'll be talking about S, T, U, and V letters. So if you're watching the TV series, there is no T or V in the TV series, so that makes it a little easier. You can just watch the S and U letters.
Okay, so last episode we did ask for new contributors for the show, and we actually got 2 new contributors to our team. One of them is David Sharp, who is with us today.
Hello.
And another one is Markus Williams, and you may have already seen them do some features on the blog, and we're really happy to add new people who are also big Clive Barker fans. And I believe, David, you have a podcast, correct?
Yes, Cinema Bluster.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, it's a podcast where we kind of cover pretty much everything in cinema. We tend to focus a lot on horror and sci-fi, mainly just because it's mine and my co-host Travis. That's really our go-to for genre films. But yeah, it's a bi-weekly show, and we also have a website, cinemabluster.com.
So you're no stranger to podcasting and blogging.
Definitely not. Been doing it for a few years now.
Well, thank you so much for contributing to the Clive Barker Podcast. I'm sure we'll be reading plenty of excellent features, and you're more than welcome to join us anytime you want to be in an episode.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you guys. I've been a huge fan of the podcast for quite some time now.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks so much. You never know when you're doing podcasts exactly how many people out there are listening.
Yeah.
And, it's good to see sometimes when someone actually gives feedback. So thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Have you had a chance to look at Imaginer 4 yet, David?
I've only seen the updates. I haven't received my copy yet.
All right. So I believe it is Markus, our other contributor, who has gotten a copy of it, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, Ryan, did you order this one, Imaginer 4?
No, okay. I still haven't gotten Imaginer 3 yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like the cover is really it looks like another great volume. And, of course, these are being made by Phil and Sarah now.
Yeah. They did I think they took over the shipping for number 2.
Okay.
Like, I think Thomas Nagovin he did everything for number 1, and then he shipped all the copies of number 2 over to Phil and Sarah.
Okay.
And then I think they took over from then on, and they did everything for 3 and 4.
Right. Mm-hmm. So I think that Thomas was involved with the Kickstarters for 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And he also wrote number 2. Yeah, well, they're being prepared for shipment. So at the time that we wrote the news in the blog, and I believe that, like you said, some people already started receiving their clamshell editions.
Sinister Creature Con. Yep, I think they brought all their stuff back, and that's why they have an update on what's in the store, because all of their leftovers from Sinister Creature Con are now, in the real Clive Barker store, including the Pinhead, or the Pin-Occhio T-shirts.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, again, if you are listening to this, let us know if you went to the Stockton Arena to see Sinister Creature Con, because the Clive Barker Seraphim table was there, and they were selling some new articles that were pretty funny. Like, if you've read Anthology, you might have read Pin-Occhio, the story, and they had a T-shirt for Pin-Occhio. So let us know if you have any pictures of that, and link us to it so we can share them on our Facebook page.
If I lived in California, I would totally be there, but I'm thousands of miles away. So
same here with me. I'm still waiting for Clive Barker store to hit up a convention near me.
Oh yeah, I know. It seems like they only go to ones in California.
Yeah.
I mean, we're all in different time zones. This happens a lot. It used to be a little more dramatic when I was living in Portugal, because then it was Portugal and Alaska, which were super, far apart.
Yeah,
but
that was, 9 hours, I think.
Right.
Wow.
It was hard to set up good times to do the podcast at the time.
So the Scream Factory 50% off sale, I don't know, is that over? I think it was only for 5 days, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it ends on the 19th.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, it started on the 12th through the 16th, which was yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So I hope you guys have took advantage of this, because all available titles were 50% off. So you could have grabbed Nightbreed the Director's Cut, Lord of Illusions, or Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh, for only $14.97 each. So that was a good chance. In case you didn't get these at the time, you probably could get them now at a good price.
Yeah.
The Leviathan coffee table book. So if anyone watched the 11-hour documentary about Hellraiser, Leviathan, the story of Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2, there is a coffee table companion book available, and Jose, you've pre-ordered that. So they've released some details about it. It's 230 pages. It's got photos from the cast and crew archives. There's only 1,000 copies.
That's right. They have a history of doing this with other documentaries that they've done, especially from cult screenings. I think they're going to do one for Fright Night, or they've done already, or they're on the process of doing. So, it's great, because it's going to have a lot of stuff here that is not in the documentary, I guess. So.
And it's got
it's surprisingly cheap.
That's right. Yeah. So £24 and 99 pence. So yeah.
Was that like $35 or something like that?
Yeah, it's right around there.
Yeah.
$34.
So very accessible. So it's only 1,000 copies. So if you haven't pre-ordered yours yet, it's something you might want to jump on, because I would say, along with the Scarlet Box, this is kind of like essential for any Hellraiser collector out there.
And it's got a foreword by creator of Pinhead, Jeff Portis, it says, which that should be pretty good. He's been kicking my butt in Words with Friends constantly, so. Every time he beats me by like 100 points every time.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I used to play with him one of those games where you had to draw something and then guess what the word is.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah. I used to play that with him, but then I deleted the app on my phone. But it was fun times, because he was a great artist. He could make the best drawings for like whatever he wanted to put in there.
I used to play that game too, but it seemed like there was not really a winner. It just went on forever.
Well, yeah, that's mobile games for you.
Yeah.
So what's next?
So yeah, the Clive Barker store's got some new stuff in it. So there's the Pin-Occhio T-shirt that they had at that convention. Also, the perfume, we talked quite a while back that they had perfume based on like the Forbidden, which we were kind of joking. You can smell like Candyman.
Yeah.
But now now it's based on Terrie cats. So I guess I don't know what a Terrie cat would smell like either. Cats don't usually smell bad unless there's something wrong with them.
Right. It's created by Nocturne Alchemy. Alchemy. I think we've mentioned them before. So, yes, they say here, Oil Set 1 features scents based on Clive's paintings from the Imaginer art book series. And Oil 2 Set features scents based on Clive's beloved Terrie cat paintings from the Everett series. So it's going to be, again, a limited edition of these oils, and comes with the signed certificate by Clive Barker and Emerson Hart, who I believe is the person who created these fragrances. So, yes, they look like great sets if you're a collector. I mean, and the cost is a little on the high side. Set 1 is $200. Set 2 is 5 perfumes and costs $150.
And our Kickstarter update, we had actually there's not really much to report since last time. We do have our Android app is up and available now. I think we talked about that last week. So anybody wants to go out and get that, or get the iPhone app, they're available. And I was thinking it would be kind of cool to make a video about how to subscribe. So
sure,
we could kind of put you could do Android and Windows, and I could do at Mac and iPhone and iOS and stuff. And
that sounds good. Yeah, I can do that. I can do that later today.
Put it together into one video.
Yeah. I've been playing with the app. It's pretty cool. Have you had any chance to try the app, David?
Yeah, I was using it the other day. It's pretty nice.
The Android one had a quick problem at the beginning. Some of the episodes were not appearing. There were like 30 episodes that didn't show up. I believe it might have been an issue with the duration of the episodes. But then I think, Ryan, you kind of republished it, and everything is in place now.
Oh,
so.
it was a thing with destinations on Libsyn. So actually, I meant to ask you, David, do you use Libsyn for your podcast?
No, we use SoundCloud.
Oh, okay, yeah. And this is just a kind of a technical question, but I was just curious with the three of you guys, or I think there's 2, sometimes 3 you have on.
Yes. Sometimes we have the third person.
do you guys all sit together and have like a 3 microphones and a mixer, or are you on Skype?
Usually on Skype, because the main people are myself and my friend Travis, who lives in another state, and then the other person, Chuck, when he's on, he's usually just sharing a microphone here with me.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So that's why our audio can be a little unbalanced at times.
Well, no, it was hard to. It wasn't. It was hard to tell that.
I would love to do that more often with Ryan. I mean, I believe we've never really done a podcast together in the same location.
No.
Even because, you've been to my wedding, and you've been we've met. So we didn't really have the chance to actually record anything because we were in Las Vegas at the time.
Yeah. Well, and we also did meet in Los Angeles for the Nightbreed premiere.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think, and we did some stuff, but it was all kind of live with other people, and just recording the Q&A and stuff like that.
We should probably do more videos, like more hangouts, open hangouts, so people could join, just like Nicholas Vince does with his Chattering with Nicholas Vince podcast. That sounds like a really fun idea to explore more in the future.
Yeah, that always looks like fun.
Did you guys ever do hangouts in your podcast, David?
No, we haven't gone to that yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely something in the future, because I think they're a pretty cool idea, especially when you can do them live.
Right, yeah.
It's a... The technology of it, it seems like it's always changing, or you're just trying to figure out how to get them started and make sure that other people can join in. It seems like the interface is different every time.
Yeah.
Maybe just because we don't do them enough, but...
Yeah, that's true. It's the integration that keeps changing. At first, it was kind of like a Google thing. Then it became connected to YouTube and integrated with YouTube. So, there's a little learning curve. But once you get through it, I guess it's smooth sailing. I mean, just look at Nicholas Vince. He's doing great.
Yeah.
So what's new on the Duels of Blood, Ryan?
This is weird. It's a little, almost even a little disheartening. I don't know. Our final round of Duels of Blood, we had Mahogany versus Mendelssohn Shape. And so just imagine, who do you think is going to be the winner? and then switch it around and make it the exact opposite, and that person won by a landslide.
Yeah, that was unexpected. I mean, I was expecting, to be honest, I was expecting Mahogany to win, just because, it's Vinnie Jones. Everybody likes Vinnie Jones.
Yeah.
And I wanted to see the bonus round with the hammer battle with Julia, but I guess... Unfortunately, I guess we're not going to be seeing that. So, no. Did you get a chance to vote on this, David?
Yeah, I voted for Mahogany a couple of times.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, me too. But apparently, Mendelssohn Shape took the vote, and he's now the new winner of Volume 2 of the Duels of Blood. Yay!
With 78% of the votes.
That's right. So I guess, are we going to still have a bonus round with Julia, Ryan?
Well, what do you guys think? Do you think we still should? Just to see.
I think it would be interesting because I'm assuming Julia would take it in the landslide, but now I don't know.
Yeah, right.
That's right. It seems like Mendelssohn Shape has a lot of admirers out there, and I can't say I blame them. It's a good painting. It's a nice painting. It's a very fascinating character, like a killer with one foot.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's do it. Yeah, let's do it. Let's put him against Julia and see what happens. Roll the dice.
Well, as this airs, it'll be up and ready to go, and it'll just be on the same page as the final round, so just down below.
All right. Well, thanks to everybody who voted for the Volume 2 of the Duels of Blood.
Yeah.
This was one of our Kickstarter goals. So, I'm looking forward to doing a Volume 3 now.
Yeah, and just www.duelsofblood.com with no spaces or underscores or anything, or dashes. Just duelsofblood.com, and then you can vote for Mendelssohn Shape versus Julia to see who wins the bonus round and who will be the champion, going on into next year.
Oh, there was a comment on this round of the Duels of Blood. I'm just going to read it real quick.
Yeah.
It was by Annie Nocera, who's actually my Facebook friend. She's a lovely lady. She used to have a blog called Talking Blondie Goes to the Movies. And she said, Midnight Meat Train is one of my favorite movies. I saw it 5 days in a row at a dollar theater that smelled, but I loved it. Please step away from the meat. My favorite line by the conductor, Annie Nocera. So thanks, Annie, for your comment. It's true that this movie was kind of dumped in dollar theaters. It was a shame. It was a real big shame because this movie deserved a better distribution.
It had only 100 screenings, I think.
Yeah. I was lucky enough to see one, and it had the title card Meat Train.
Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was really odd because at first we thought we were at the wrong movie.
Oh, man. That is strange. Yeah, I've only ever seen the Blu-ray because it never came anywhere near me.
I believe at the time there was some sort of – I wouldn't call it a controversy because it was just so subdued. But there were some people who were making fun of the title because they thought the Midnight Meat Train had a lot of sexual connotations.
Yeah.
And so I think that the studio actually was considering at one point to try to change something, but that didn't happen. But something that I'm not sure a lot of people know out there, it's true that sometimes things do change titles – just before they come out. I mean, New Testament was supposed to be called New Genesis, and you can still find mock covers of the first issue of the comic book series saying New Genesis. The thing was that DC, of course, already had New Genesis from the that Jack Kirby created. What was those characters? Inhumans? No, it's not the Inhumans. That's from Marvel. But yeah, there was New Genesis with DC.
You're kind of drumming on the table or something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So New Genesis was a fictional planet appearing in American comic books published by DC Comics. So, yes, this was from that universe where there's the supervillain called Darkseid, and he lives in a different planet called Apocalypse. So New Genesis was already taken, and that's why they changed it to Next Testament instead. Yeah, so it does happen.
All right. Well, we can move on to Clive Barker's A to Z of horror, and we're doing letters S, T, U, and V. So I know we only did 3 letters before, but some of these are kind of short, so we're doing 4 for our last 2 episodes of this A to Z of horror. So starting out, we've got S for sorceress. which is interesting. It's all about Shirley Jackson, and I think she's most well known for the story The Lottery, which did either of you guys ever read this story? I read it in high school in I think an English class.
I didn't read it beforehand. I actually read it after reading S for Sorceress.
Oh, okay.
I read this story back when we were starting to do the A through Z, the first episode, I believe. Mm-hmm. I found not only the story, but I also found a short film, an adaptation of the story, which was probably made in the 70s or something. Mm-hmm. So,
I think
it was very disturbing.
I think it was made for TV.
Probably, yeah. But it was very disturbing story. It takes place in almost this kind of like dystopian future, and it takes place in this village or city where at the beginning you see some kids gathering up some stones in a pile in the center of the square, and then there's some sort of event going on, and people are rushing to be a part of it. And at first, it's like you don't know what's going on, but as the story progresses, it becomes clear that there's something really, really creepy going on.
Yeah, and all but nobody seems like afraid. They're all kind of joking around, and kids are bringing stones over to put on the pile. And
yeah, that's what really makes it so unnerving is how it's almost like a community event. Everyone's kind of gathering around like they're about to show a movie or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, of course, I mean, after I read the story, I realized that this kind of might have been. I'm not going to say this with 100% certainty, but it seems like this might have been at the root to inspire movies like The Purge or stories like that. Mm. But I guess ultimately it also comes from a much more old tradition that would be fertility rites or crop festival or something where where there's the idea that you need to appease a certain force or forces or entities out there. And so there's this huge cathartic event where it's really kind of a purge.
Yeah.
In this story, do they even say why they do it, or is it just a tradition and they don't? I thought that they didn't ever even explain any reason for it.
Yeah, it's very ambiguous.
It seems like it's just a tradition that's been handed down. And the whole point of the story, I thought, was that people don't really question it, and they just keep doing it because that's the thing to do, and sometimes that there are traditions out there and there are ideas that just stick to communities and people long after they should be discarded, and this is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting to read this section again. I haven't read this book, since it came out in the 90s, but just reading the story of Shirley Jackson's life and a lot of interviews with her kids, and that she somehow she was able to do all the stuff with them, and she had a job, and she was and she would go up in the attic and write for hours.
Yeah, well, basically she was, and we're going to talk about this a little further in, but she reminded me of someone who would be in Rosemary's Baby a little bit, right? I mean,
one of the tenants.
Yeah, one of the tenants of the Branford building. Because she's here in this section sorceress because she was kind of a self-proclaimed witch/writer. There are things that they talk about in the TV series and the book, like, for example, that she would sometimes use her witchly powers in a kind of a funny way. If she was looking for something that she couldn't find it, there was like a drawer in the kitchen that was empty, and she would just open up the drawer, then close it and say the name of the thing that she was looking for, and then she would open it up and it would be there, according to her daughter. Yeah. So that's kind of a little anecdote there, but that's the kind of woman she was.
And she believed in sort of that inanimate objects had personalities.
Yeah.
Which was she wrote a book called The Haunting of Hill House, and it was made into a movie. And I rented that. Sorry, that was my dryer. I rented that a few days back, and that was. Did you either of you guys see the Haunting?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. A long time ago, yes.
I think that Evil Dead, that Sam Raimi stole a bunch of stuff from The Haunting.
Yeah.
the camera angles, there would kind of tilt and there'd be weird angles and like there'd be like the booming coming from out from outside into the walls and the people looking up really quick and stuff like that. Which is
and it's weird too because Sam Raimi really gets credit for developing that style, even though it was in this film many decades prior.
Yeah, 1963.
Yeah.
But those camera angles really work. I mean, there's what's called the predator angle, right? When there's like someone like Michael Myers or someone is like hunting someone, and you see the camera kind of approach or going low on the floor or behind a bush, or the camera is slightly tilted, and that introduces tension into the movie because you feel like you're the one there, you're put behind the bush, so you're the one who something's going to jump out. And for Sam Raimi, that really works when he does those weird camera angles because, quick snap, turns of the camera and big close up. And it just really, really works.
Yeah, very, very effective. Those were the things that terrified me when I was much younger, seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because you never knew what was what was the creature that was giving you that perspective.
Yeah. One really weird thing too, and I think that Wes Craven might have taken this, was that you remember when there was that big huge door, like oak door, and it was started to bulge out and then go back in, and like when Freddy was kind of stuck behind the wall or pushing out on the wall from the other side, and it became like elastic.
Yeah.
That was a great practical effect, by the way. It really was just a piece of film that they just told, Robert Englund to just push down on, and then it's really great practical effect. Yeah. I saw this movie when I was really, really young, and I still remember, like you said, the door kind of like pushing and bulging in, and the stairway, the
spiral staircase?
Spiral staircase, yes, thank you. English is a second language for me. But that moment, and then when she comes out and there's someone driving a car and they see her running around in the middle of the night, and it's a very disconcerting movie. But in a way, it kind of reminded me a little bit, I think, parts of the game, the Clive Barker game,
Undying?
Undying, thank you. Mm-hmm. There's a greenhouse in Undying, and that reminds me a little bit of the greenhouse in The Haunting, or that scene where there's like a spiral staircase and everything is rickety. I don't know why, but I do get that vibe, especially from the remake, from 1999 remake of The Haunting. You guys saw that one?
Yeah.
If I did,
with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Catherine Zeta-Jones and what's the name of the other actress? I forgot her name. But that was not as effective, not nearly as effective. Yeah, I think The Haunting was directed by Robert Wise. I think that's Robert Wise.
Yeah.
And for the Haunting, it was Jan de Bont, I think, with Liam Neeson. Right, Liam Neeson plays Hugh Crane in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I want to study the dynamics of fear.
That's what it's a very 90s horror film.
Oh,
it's just a CGI fest. It's just that one. I don't think Clive would recommend that one, but definitely go watch the 1963 movie, I think. Yeah. So
with limited time, and I looked through the movie adaptations that she had, and the other one was Lizzie. I thought probably The Haunting was a better choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going back to the that story that she wrote, The Lottery, it's of course what happens here is that there's a black box, and I thought it was interesting at the beginning when I was reading it that they said the black box was all battered and that it had been repaired, but it was almost falling apart, and I was wondering, wow, is it really that old? But then at the end, I understood why the box was all battered and had to be replaced multiple times. And I guess, should we spoil the story here?
Yeah, it's a super old story. I think it's
Okay. So basically, the lottery decides who's the next person to go up against the wall and then be sacrificed for the good of the community. And it's nobody knows why they're still doing it. It's just there's one guy who's like the old ancient guy in the town, and he's the one who keeps telling everybody, we got to do this right. We have to do this. We have to stick to the tradition. And I guess he represents really like the previous generation and the weight of that tradition that just keeps going on without no one really knowing why they're still doing it. I mean, they mentioned in the story that there are cities who gave it up. And then, of course, they blame their moral decay on they stopped doing that, so that's why, they're not one of us.
Superstition.
Yeah, superstition.
Yeah, I think one of the other things, too, that I think that the lottery heavily influenced was Logan's Run. I was getting a lot of that when reading this.
That's a good point. I didn't even put those together.
Right. Logan's Run. Yeah, there's a big... And also there was a more recent movie. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. It was about... in the future, there was a dystopian movie where in the future people have this amount of time and it would show up on their arm.
Oh, yeah. It had
with Justin Timberlake
in it. Yeah.
Right. And it kind of reminded me also of this sort of, like this sort of thing where rich people get to live more, and poor people get less time. And there was also, wasn't there like a science fiction novel where people would get frozen and then there would be a lottery where people would get unfrozen?
Oh,
or is that, am I thinking of Logan's Run here? I haven't seen Logan's Run in a long while.
No, in Logan's Run, they were, it was basically when you became older that they were euthanizing the older population in order to keep society young.
But they thought they were going on to something good, so they called it the carousel, and then they would float up in this weird spiral, and then lightning would hit them, and they'd explode.
Oh, you guys remember that Ewan McGregor movie with Scarlett Johansson called The Island? That was also kind of a lottery thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep.
Yeah. It turns out that everybody in there was like a clone of some rich guy, and they were just the lottery was just, you're going to go to the island, you're going to go live your life in a beautiful place, and then it turned out there was something horrible where they're going to harvest them for their organs.
That was Michael Bay, wasn't it?
Yes, directed by Michael Bay. That's right. Yeah. It was an okay movie. I mean, I saw it in the theater. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a good entertainment if it's like a matinee and it's a weekend on a Saturday and you're on your couch, I guess.
That's on every single review of every Michael Bay movie ever made.
Yeah. That's the perfect way to describe all of them.
Oh, man. Have you guys been watching the new trailers for the new Transformers? Every time I see Anthony Hopkins in that movie, I kind of go like, oh, no, why, Anthony Hopkins? Why are you in the Transformers?
Because he's probably getting paid an insane amount of money.
Yeah, they probably got a big truckload of money. Say, hey, you want to be in our movie? Sure, why not?
Yeah. It's weird that whole series they've been teasing the death of Optimus Prime like in every single one, but then they're like, no, we can't do it. He's like our cash cow. So
they can't commit to it. It's too much.
Yeah.
So I think Shirley Jackson does have this sort of theme that goes through her stories. And like you said, she believed that houses could be haunted and things had some sort of personality. Like she told a friend once, gave her a typewriter and said, hey, there's still a lot of good stories in this typewriter, which obviously implies that, people say that usually when they're just, it's a figure of speech, but I think in her case, she actually believed that there was some power being transferred when you gave someone like a typewriter or something like that it could help her create some more art because the typewriter could, in somehow transmit something to another person. Yeah. And I think that's interesting. I believe to some extent that is true when you offer someone art. I wouldn't go as far as to say that if you give someone a pack of Kleenexes that it's gonna transfer some sort of energy towards them. But when you offer someone a piece of art, I do believe that it's something that has intrinsic value and offers inspiration, I guess, in a way.
Yeah,
definitely.
Well, that's why I'm using my Amiga for typing the for transcribing our notes, right? Because it has special meaning for me.
Right. Yeah, you like old computers and old hardware, and getting it to work with new hardware, which is sometimes a inglorious task that consumes a lot of time.
So our next one was T for Torso, and I was actually a little bit surprised that Clive Barker had recommended this and spent so much time talking about it, because even the editor Stephen Jones in the left column, he said, like, he talked about how this was I'm paraphrasing, but it was a bad movie that didn't stick to its convictions, and it, in the end it was all just a dream, which is true. I hated this movie when it came out in '93. I watched it because, my friends and I were fans of David Lynch, and like, oh, we got to see this. His daughter made a movie, and then they were even in denial after it was over. They're like, I said, that was stupid. It was all a dream at the end. That was a big practical joke on us. And she said, and the friends were like, oh no, it's David Lynch's daughter. She must have known what she was doing. And I trust that she would do a good job. I'm like, that doesn't, it's not genetic.
Did you ever, Did you ever cover this movie on Cinema Bluster, David?
No, we haven't. I'll definitely be talking about it on our episode we're recording tomorrow, because I did sit through the whole thing. And man, I wanted to walk away so many times.
Me too. I didn't think of this back in '93, but watching it this time, it's like, am I watching like a Cinemax, up late at night, Cinemax movie?
Yeah, it's so graphic in its nudity for no reason, especially given the ending. I mean, that's the real clincher with this, is that the ending just destroys anything remotely interesting about the movie. But I guess one of the harder sells is, who could possibly imagine Julian Sands as this nerdy, weak-minded kind of guy that's not self-confident in any way? Like, they just completely missed the casting on that one.
God. Yeah. Well,
I had seen Julian Sands in the Warlock series, I think, and I actually like those. I haven't watched them in over 20 years, but but this movie, in a way, it makes a lot of sense that this is. I think this movie is sometimes misjudged by people because they think this is going to be some sort of romantic movie or something, but it really is a horror movie at its core. That's why it's an A to Z of horror.
Well, I think that it was the opposite for me. I went in thinking it was a horror movie, and found out that it wasn't. When I saw it back in '93.
Yeah,
it's like you were saying, David. It's just Julian Sands is such a weak, feeble, pathetic. I wouldn't even call him a man. He's a boy, like he's called in the movie by Elena. It's a little boy named David invited me, and
Nick, I think.
Nick, right? I'm sorry, Nick. Obviously, but I just thought this movie was. It makes a lot of sense why the aesthetic is the way it looks, and why everything seems idealized and stylized in a way.
Very soap opera, if you will.
Right. Yeah. Like, there's one point where Nick, he's a peeping Tom. He is that weak and pathetic that he is a peeping Tom. He goes jogging past this house of this woman that he once made love to and became infatuated and totally obsessed with. And he just climbed the whole sequence of him just hiding in the bush, climbing up the tree and just looking at her while she's like, parading herself in like the billowing curtains, and she's drinking like this cocktail, and she's just undoing her hair,
lighting, and
oh my god, dude! I was like, wow, what am I watching? Because I saw all the tropes of like a '90s, erotic softcore movie.
Exactly. Yeah. In real life, he would jog up there, and there would be nobody at the window, and he'd have to wait there for hours.
Or, nobody stares dreamily out of their, window like that, and just put their hands on their chest and just dress in all those lacy bodices and stuff like that. But it makes sense at the end, because you're like, oh, okay, I thought the ending kind of made things snap into place for me because I was like, oh, okay, now I understand why this looked the way it looked.
Yeah, except it seems like that ending was tacked on because if you go back and watch it again knowing that it was all a dream, there's some stuff in there that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Very true.
And kind of what you guys were saying earlier about the romance angle versus the horror angle, I think that's really the biggest problem with this film is that the romance is really terrible because it's all one-sided and geekily obsessive. And then when the horror aspect comes in, you would imagine you're going to get David Cronenberg type body horror, and you don't get that. You see no surgery, no nothing. It's just one day she doesn't have legs, one day she doesn't have arms. So it's kind of like we're just jumping forward into the future with no rhyme or reason.
And when she doesn't have after he cuts her arms off, that's when she turns around and has this weird Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
she's like, okay, now I love you, and oh, don't hurt him.
Because it's all a fantasy at the end. It's all a dream fantasy. And here's what Jennifer Lynch said back in 93 about the movie. She said, I myself am obsessed with the torso, male and female. So I think that it is a phenomenal shape. It does so many things. It holds so many things. And it holds, interestingly enough, the parts of us that are most instinctual. The brain is excluded, the legs don't matter, the arms don't matter, but the genitals and heart are as vague as we are at times, but have their purpose. And so she goes on to say that she had an obsession with Venus de Milo because her grandmother had a statuette of it at home. Mm-hmm. And I can't help making a connection that now we have the new Twin Peaks season 3. Mm-hmm. And if you're a Twin Peaks audience member, I mean, you probably are familiar with the red room, the waiting room, the Black Lodge, where you see all the red curtains and the statuettes. You have they're always there in the background near the chairs and the little man from another place dancing. So I guess this is where it comes from a little bit, because there was this statuette that kind of made its way through the imaginary of, not just David Lynch, but Jennifer Lynch, I guess.
And they had originally planned on having Kim Basinger playing Helena, and I guess they had some kind of verbal contract, and she changed her mind or backed out, and they sued her for $9 million, and
oh my gosh,
and that was overturned, and they settled out of court. But I'm going to guess that they made more money from Kim Basinger backing out of her contract than the movie, because the movie had a $2 million budget, and they made $1.8 million.
Oh my gosh! Yeah.
So they probably made more from suing Kim Basinger than they made from the actual movie.
It became a financial success because they sued the actress.
Oh wow! I'm looking at Box Office Mojo just to see what this movie made, and said yes, domestic total gross for this was $1.8 million.
Yeah, it was like 1.796 or something like that.
Wow. Yeah, that's not good. But hey, one thing that's there's two things about the soundtrack that I want to say. One, I do like Graham Revell work for this, but the other one is, oh my God, this has the most cliche band from the 90s to be an erotic movie, which is Enigma. I mean, Enigma. Yeah. God, I always hated them every time since they put out their album. And I was just like, oh, my God, here's the Enigma music. Oh, I hate this stuff. It's so cheesy. So horrible.
Yeah.
Enigma was one of the things from the 90s that should not have happened.
Yes.
So Julian Sands, he plays this really feeble, pathetic guy. And, of course, the set design, though, in this movie is pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's very elaborate.
Yeah, it's very elaborate, very these houses where they shot this and stages, I mean, they were just amazing. And
but they wasted it by doing close-up shots almost all the time. So
yeah, I guess
it felt like you were stuck in like little fake TV sets,
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so Boxing Helena is ultimately this what a almost masochist guy, peeping Tom, premature ejaculator, would do if he wanted to make like a romantic erotic movie. And he really is kind of a man-child in a lot of ways. In the sense that he has no notion that he's putting women on a pedestal, literally. He literally does that at one point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and would he really have a dream that that Bill Paxton's character would go up to the grocery store guy and say, "Hey, if you ever hear from Helena, here's $5 or whatever. Please give me a call."
Right. That's one of the things in this that doesn't gel with the idea that this was a dream, because dreams usually don't have subplots that don't involve the dreamer, I guess. That's one of those things that doesn't really work well when you rewatch the movie knowing it's all a dream.
And then at the end, when he says, "I'm still haunted by my dreams of Helena," and then they kept repeating it over and over again, I was like, "Is this a mistake? This is stupid." It was kind of a weird movie to get through. Yeah. I enjoyed Rosemary's Baby a lot more, but we'll get into that later.
Yeah. But it's just so 90s, right? This movie's just so 90s, and all like the fashion, the aesthetic of it, the music. It just became so dated for me. When I was watching this movie, I was just completely like, oh my God, this is like totally dated from the 90s. And I think nowadays it almost became kind of a cult classic in some circles because of how kind of cheesy it is, really.
Mm-hmm. I think people liked the outrageous premise of it more than the actual movie itself.
Yeah, I didn't see it in the theaters. I'm wondering, like you said, I mean, you came out of the theater with your friends, and you guys were kind of stunned.
I didn't see it in the theater either. It wasn't in the theater very long, and then it just went straight to video.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So they talk about that.
Bill Paxton, so that always gets a cult following.
Yeah. Right, Bill Paxton being a real jerk, like a real club jerk. Like this is one. If you want to see some really cheesy Bill Paxton, So I think that was a wig. What do you guys say about that?
Oh, Bill Paxton's hair?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe so. It seemed a lot darker than his natural hair.
Yeah, it totally looked like a wig for me.
Well,
but
and then he was wearing like leather pants and swaggering around.
I'm going to the club.
Yeah.
No, that was totally like what a nerd guy would imagine as an alpha male kind of guy, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. So that does work as far as the ending of the film. So.
Except that he's dreaming a scene that he's not in again.
True, but you have to accept that with the story of the movie, I guess.
We don't know if he's ever even met this character before until the guy breaks into his house.
Well, he sees him when he's up in the tree, looking at him making love with Elena.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, Roy, I think was his name.
I believe so, yeah.
I think Kim Basinger made the right choice, even if it cost her some money.
Yeah. I'm sure it was worth the money she paid.
Yeah, it wasn't $9 million because it was settled out of court. We don't really know how much it ended up being, but okay. Well, you guys want to go on to the next one? U for Unborn. Well, and actually, just really quick, they briefly talked about David Cronenberg's Dead Ringers. Just the fact that it's body horror and it's about twins, and it's not really exactly about a torso, but
yeah, that one seemed kind of a bit of a stretch in the book, but
yeah,
that was based on actually a real story of twins. They actually. They were twin brothers, and they were also gynecologists, and they ended up dead in their own house, surrounded by garbage. So that's kind of based on a true story there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It was Cyril and Stuart Markus. These twin gynecologists killed themselves with a drug overdose in July 1975 and were found dead in their New York apartment in bizarre circumstances. So, I've read about these guys. They were pretty weird. As usual, drug use spiraled into insanity and ultimately death. So, but it's a very, very interesting movie, Dead Ringers. I saw it when it came out, and I thought it was amazing. I mean, it's totally a Cronenberg movie.
Yeah.
And they have great effects with the two Jeremy Irons things.
And the way it fetishizes these surgical instruments and stuff.
Oh, God, yeah. You remember those instruments to operate on mutant women?
Yes.
Really weird stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, but it has nothing in common with Boxing Helena, really, except that there are surgeon characters.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, sure. But they kind of, like you said, fetishize the body of women to the extent where they're obsessed with it, and, you know, they want to manipulate it and, you know, operate on it and stuff like that. Yeah.
And at least he included a good movie.
Yes, that is very true. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw Boxing Helena. I didn't see Dead Ringers for this episode, but I wish I had. That would have been a better experience.
No.
I'm sorry, Jennifer Lynch. I know you're on my Facebook list, but yeah. What were you thinking? Hey, at least she redeemed herself by filming a really awesome Walking Dead episode.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah.
Which one was that?
Oh, I couldn't tell you the title of it, but she did direct one Walking Dead episode.
Oh. Well, cool. So, you for Unborn, basically mostly about Rosemary's Baby and then a little bit about Larry Cohen's It's Alive, which, of those two, I thought Rosemary's Baby would be more fun to revisit, even though I'd seen it, a few times before.
Mm-hmm.
Have you covered this one on your podcast, David?
No, we haven't actually, which is surprising because Travis and I saw it, I believe, last year at the Alamo Draft House.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah. We actually have an Alamo Draft House here in Phoenix too now, so I went there to see a movie once.
I'm jealous. We lost ours a few months back.
Oh, that's terrible.
They lost their lease, and so they pulled out of the area, which is a bummer. But
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, Rosemary's Baby is for both of us. That's one of our all-time favorite films.
It's a really, really slow build-up.
Yeah.
I saw it too last night, and I hadn't seen it in a while, so I think I might have never actually seen this movie through before. I may have caught it on TV several years ago and watched some of it and then watch it again some other time. You know how it is when you're flipping channels and you're like, hey, that's Mia Farrow. I'm just going to watch this for a little while. Mm-hmm. So I didn't even remember the ending of it. So it was great that I saw it last night, and holy moly, it was really good. It's a Roman Polanski film, mm-hmm. and I was very surprised to finally find out after I looked at the cast that John Cassavetes is Guy, and I didn't know his name before. So as soon as I saw John Cassavetes, I was like, oh my God, yes, he's movie director as well and screenwriter.
Oh,
yeah.
And did a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. So great selection here for you for Unborn, because obviously and there's some things that you can actually connect to this that Clive Barker uses, especially like the fact that every single demonic entity in Clive Barker's books usually has like golden eyes or some sort of thing going on with the eyes, and that's one of the really cool moments here in this movie when she sees the baby and she asks, "What's wrong with his eyes?" You know, and
what have you done to his eyes? Yeah.
Such a powerful moment. One of my favorite things about the film is the sound design and the usage of the clock to build tension with the score versus your traditional score of having like the violin or whatever kind of drawing up your tension. I like the subtlety of the clock playing in the background. That's one of those things that every time I see it, it just takes my breath away.
One of the things I really enjoyed about this was the dream sequences. Because in this movie, the dream sequences are influenced in some ways by sounds creeping into your sleep or voices creeping into your sleep. And I thought that's perfect because I think everybody has experienced that at some point, like sounds coming into your dream and shaping your dream, whether it's the alarm clock or music that you're falling asleep to or, TV that you're falling asleep to. And this this used that as a way to encode some of the information that Mia Farrow is receiving while she's sleeping.
Yeah.
And I thought that those two things, even though the visuals of the dream sometimes didn't have anything to do with what she was listening to, it intermingled perfectly. And I thought the dream sequences were pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
So some people, we'll get this out of the way. Some people have some controversy when they think about Roman Polanski because of what happened in a party in Hollywood decades ago, and he was accused of sexually abusing a teenage girl. And that, when I was looking at the scene where the baby is conceived, that kind of reminded me a lot of. There's a lot of drugs and drugged women going on in this movie, and I was kind of reminded a little bit of that scene of that real life event, I guess. And it was a little uncomfortable to sit through the scene where the baby is conceived because of that.
And reading the blurb about this, they said that that the devil appeared and was the father, but then what they said was that the devil possessed her husband. But but you can't really, from watching the movie, you can't really tell that that's the case. I mean, her husband could have been standing back. And
I don't believe that that's what really happens in the movie. Because what happens in the dream sequence is that we actually see, and then of course Steve Marcato confirms that at the end, that the devil came out of the earth and sired her a baby. So I don't think that her husband was possessed by the devil while he was doing it. Yeah, I think it's actually meant to be the devil.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, but in this book, in the blurb, they said that the devil possessed her husband. But I think he was just there. But I don't think that was the case.
Right. Yeah.
And what a just a terrible bastard her husband is.
Yeah, and the first half of the film, you kind of like him, and then as it goes on more and more, he's less involved, and then he eventually turns on her, and it makes it kind of a bigger gut punch in the final moments of the film when you see him sitting there with the other tenants.
It had been a long time since I saw this movie, so I was kind of hoping she was going to stab him with that knife at the end.
Well, this was based on a book by Ira Levin, and the story, I mean, at this point, I don't think we have to worry about spoilers, but no. So basically, Mia Farrow, she was kind of like a female counterpoint to Julian Sands' character in Boxing Elena, I thought, because they're both kind of dependent characters. I mean, she's obviously a housewife. She doesn't work. Her husband is an actor, guy. And she just plays this very, solar-looking, very pretty, very, stylish young lady in New York. And she just falls into this being cut off from her friends and from her family and just put in a situation where she's being manipulated. And so I thought that kind of I saw this first before I saw Boxing Elena, and then I was watching Julian Sands, and I was like, he looks like he's kind of like a counterpoint to this character a little bit, even though the monster in Boxing Elena is Julian Sands, and here obviously she's not. She's a much more stronger character at the end. Mm-hmm. But what do you guys think?
I completely agree, and I think one of the other similarities between the two isn't necessarily narrative, but again, earlier you guys had mentioned the close-ups that they use on people's faces, and that's something that Rosemary's Baby showcases a lot. And in this point, it's kind of to show tension and dread, and she's not necessarily knowing what's around her at all times because she's being drugged and being confused by everything. Whereas in Boxing Helena, it felt more like Lynch was doing that because she thought that's how you make films. So it's kind of weird to see the two back to back like this and see how they kind of have a similar story with similar beats to them and a similar style in some ways, and seeing how they how a mature director can make better usage of the same techniques.
Sure. Yeah. You raise a great point there, David. Sure. I mean, the Roman Polanski here is a much more mature director, like you said, and also most of this movie, I was thinking that it was going to be all in her head. I mean, I was allowing myself the possibility to think that, maybe there's no conspiracy and it's all in her head.
Yeah.
But every single setup has a payoff in this movie. And so once you start seeing all those like pieces fall in place, you quickly realize that, no, I think I'm on her side on this. Yeah. And I think this is really happening. And there's several points where the character even screams out that, this is not a dream. This is happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so that makes it much more appealing for me, because you find yourself thinking, I hope this is a dream. I hope this is all like just a metaphor for postpartum or prepartum depression or something. But no, actually, in the end, it's really all true. And
I couldn't believe that Dr. Hill. I mean, geez, he's not even. As far as we knew, he wasn't even connected to the satanic conspiracy, but then I guess he is, because he turned her in. And
well, you have to think that he's really. If someone goes into your office and tells you that story, you're probably going to call their husband and another doctor.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't know. I mean, he said he told her he wasn't going to.
Well, yeah, but that's what you tell to humor people who are obviously disturbed at the time.
Yeah. And I think that's what is so effective, too, is that every betrayal cuts deep.
Yeah.
Right. Yes. The husband betrayal, the doctor betrayal, because a pregnant woman has to trust her doctor, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a big part of pregnancy to be able to trust your doctor and go with him when you have any problems, because he's going to be the one delivering the baby. Mm-hmm. In this case, I just wanted to draw a parallel here between Rosemary's Baby and have you guys ever seen The Lords of Salem, a Rob Zombie film?
No.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, David saw it, so I guess do you think that Rob Zombie kind of inspired himself a little bit on this movie?
Oh yeah, he took a lot from Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah. Right. I mean, obviously, that's clear. I mean, that's clear for anybody. I guess that was a kind of a silly question, but I was just thinking about The Lords of Salem, which was another movie that kind of failed a little bit for me, because I just couldn't get into it. And now I was looking at Rosemary's Baby, and I was seeing, okay, I see where he was coming from. I mean, he must have been trying to emulate Rosemary's Baby when he was making Lords of Salem.
Yeah, and that's we actually had an episode where we discussed all of Rob Zombie's films, and one of my biggest problems with him as a filmmaker is that usually each film is kind of really taking a large chunk of another film, and then he's kind of making his own Rob Zombie remake of it.
Right.
With House of a Thousand Corpses, it's very Lucio Fulci, mm-hmm. and with Devil's Rejects, it's very Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and this one, it's hugely Rosemary's Baby. I mean, to the point where sometimes it's kind of cringeworthy.
Yeah. There's also those encoded like dream sequences, and there's a woman being drugged and manipulated by a coven of witches and all that. So, and a weird scene with like a little midget with tentacles that plays the devil.
Yeah, that whole dream sequence music video thing at the end.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Quentin Tarantino does that too.
Sure.
Yeah. But I think that the idea of using that narrative of the kind of the horrors of pregnancy, what a person's going through when they're having all these emotions, it's kind of one of my favorite subgenres of horror, because there's been other really great movies like the French film Inside, and there was a film a couple of years ago called Proxy that really handled those kinds of narrative themes in a similar way and very well.
One thing I thought was kind of cool is when Castevet says, "Name a place," and I've been there, and he says, "Fairbanks, Alaska."
Oh, right. So that's where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he goes on to talk a lot about Juneau and other places around there.
Juneau and Seward and Homer, and it's pretty cool. I go fishing.
Witches everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, that was it's kind of funny, this satanic conspiracy, thing that all these, people you think are absolutely normal, nice people turn out to be part of this satanic conspiracy.
And not just that, but they're also apparently outstanding members and pillars of society, like Dr. Saperstein.
Yeah.
And they kind of infiltrate these like spheres of power, whether they're doctors or lawyers or whatever.
Right.
But all of this coven was really old people. I mean, the only guy that was kind of a little more younger near the end is the Japanese guy. And
right.
Yeah. They really needed some new blood.
Yeah. And the Japanese guy, of course, he has a camera and he's taking pictures during their coven meeting. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of a stereotype there.
It's very 1960s.
Yeah. Of course, Mr. Yamato or wherever his name is, he's got a camera. He's taking pictures. Oh, smile. I'm just taking a picture of the demon baby here.
Yeah.
But I did not expect that ending to be the way it was. To be honest, I thought the movie was – if the movie ended when they're all going like Hail Satan, I think that might have been an interesting ending. Or after they tell her, be a mother to him.
Yeah.
But I feel like the ending should have been a little more open there, but it feels like she's kind of accepting her role. And I was surprised that she caved in like that.
Yeah, she's kind of defeated at that point.
Well, and after everything, she's still the baby's mother, and that's that's really powerful.
Yeah, that bond.
Yeah.
I was still thinking, did you get the tension moment when you're looking out of the window and you see that there's a window there and maybe she's going to grab the baby and take a run for it or just kill herself with the baby? I thought at some point that might happen.
Yeah.
So I was a little surprised. But I think that was meant to make us think maybe she's going to do something drastic here at the end, but then it's like, no.
I think she's going to leave her husband and she's going to be a mother to the baby and she's not going to become a Satanist.
Yeah.
Well, Adrian is kind of the Antichrist in this movie, so I guess, this kind of means the beginning of the end.
Yeah.
There. Yeah. Because Adrian's going to bring the power and glory of Satan into the world.
Yeah.
But I could totally understand why Clive Barker would pick this because this is totally a classic. So
yeah, Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Really, really cool. And I loved the dream sequences too. I like that. It seems like in most movies or a lot of movies, dream sequences, have to completely make sense, or their flashback or something. Mm-hmm. And I really like it when a dream sequence, like in Hellraiser, I really like it in a dream sequence when parts of it make sense or parts of it are kind of a warning, but other parts of it are just kind of nonsensical dream stuff. Like she made that neighbor lady a nun, and they were talking about the stained glass windows or something.
Yes,
I think it makes it more believable to be sort of nonsensical.
Yeah, right. Because that's what dreams are like. Sometimes you're in the middle of a dream and you're like, wait, what am I doing holding this in the middle of the street? Oh, why am I in a test? Yeah. Why am I taking a geography test right now without pants on? It's like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then usually that's when you wake up, So did you guys get a chance to see It's Alive?
No.
Okay.
I've seen it a few years ago, probably 10 years ago or so. It's been a while.
Isn't it about a baby that as soon as it's born, it goes nuts and kills everybody around it and sort of takes off out of the room?
Yeah. It's a weird one, and the sequels are even weirder.
Oh, so there's sequels. Oh, yeah, I forgot to say that there's also a sequel to Rosemary's Baby. It's a bad sequel, but there is one.
I saw that in the book. I had no idea.
Right.
I've seen the remake, and that's really terrible.
It was a made-for-TV movie, right?
I guess so. It kind of looked. I just skimmed through it. I didn't have the time to watch it last night. But I just want to tell people there is a sequel out there for Rosemary's Baby. I just don't think it's very good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if it's about when the baby's grown up, or
I didn't see it. So, but for It's Alive that you guys were talking about, yes. So here's the synopsis. After taking a new drug, Lenore Davis gives bloody birth to a murderous mutant baby created by makeup effects designer Rick Baker, which quickly slaughters all the medical staff in the delivery room before making its escape. While her husband, Frank, tries to hold his family together and stop the police from killing his misunderstood offspring, the city of Los Angeles finds itself battling a new breed of terrifying toddlers. Cohen's witty and subversive screenplay lifts this low-budget chiller above the level of its monster movie origins, and music score by the great Bernard Herrmann. So definitely something I'm going to put on my queue to watch, and maybe we can get back to this later.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one, I mean, Rosemary's Baby took up the bulk of this chapter, and there's only really a short thing about It's Alive.
Yeah.
So V for Vice Versa, it's interesting because Clive Barker includes a chapter about himself in this book. And does that seem a little bit like, I mean, obviously not, because he deserves to be in this book. He's the Prince of Horror. The creator of plenty of dark, fantastic novels. So I believe he has a spot here. But isn't that a little weird that someone would include themselves in like a recommendation for horror?
Except it's almost not, because most of what he was talking about was Hellbound. And he helped create the story for Hellbound, but he really, other than that, wasn't very involved in it. And it was really Peter Atkins and Tony Randall that made that movie. Right.
Well, it's definitely one of the Hellraisers that I really enjoy. I think this may have been done. This book came out in was this book out in 96? Okay, so at this 96. Point, Hellraiser 3 was already out, and they were doing Bloodline. I'm not sure if this came before or after it.
Yeah.
But I guess Clive didn't really care too much about Hellraiser 3.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So
I think it's interesting, though, that if he's going to write a chapter about himself, that it's one that a letter that they didn't air on the show.
Yeah, that's strange.
It was if you go to Revelations on their website and look at the page where they talk about A to Z of horror, they do mention that it seemed like the show didn't really address a lot of things from the book, and there might have been shows that were screened not in England but in other countries that had different segments. So,
wow.
Okay, so the confusing plot thickens further if we are to believe a running order we've seen for the German broadcast of the series, in which 4 segments never broadcast in the BBC version are listed as having aired, including V for Vice Versa, in which Barker discusses his own career. So apparently there might have been a segment recorded for this that played in German TV, but never made it to the BBC screenings. So that is interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Phil and Sarah, if you're listening and you have a copy of those, we would like to see them.
Yes, definitely.
So they do talk a lot about Hellbound, and you see plenty of stuff here, and they talk about beauty, sexuality. Of course, Clive Barker wanted to make Julia the main villain of the Hellraiser franchise, but at that point, Claire Higgins was not interested in becoming a horror icon. So, and Pinhead took off really well. I mean, it became really popular. It became an icon of horror. So they just focused on Pinhead to exhaustion, I guess.
Yeah. And I think V for Vice Versa, he was kind of focusing on transformation. And so it was about Julia transforming. Before she was kind of the manipulated lover of Frank. And this time around, she says, now I'm the Wicked Queen. And she transforms from a skinless monster creature to her more complete self.
Yeah, like she goes through a process of transcending her human self and becomes the queen of hell. Yeah. Like working for a living god of Leviathan. So she's going to be harvesting souls. At the end, of course, of Hellbound, there was a script scene that was never recorded. But when Julia came out of the mattress, when the moving men are in Chenard's house, she was supposed to rise out of the mattress in a black dress and then say, I'm Julia, love me. And then the black light would come out of her mouth and eyes, and it would blood would wash over the screen, and that would be the end of the movie. Yeah. Instead, of course, we got the torture pillar coming up, and you see several several things stuck to it, and then you see the puzzle guardian saying, "What's your pleasure, sir?"
Yeah.
Because they had to change that. That Claire Higgins did not want to do that.
Yeah, and he talks a little bit about his short story, The Madonna, too, which was kind of neat. Definitely that one's about transformation and kind of harkens back a little bit to, childbirth and
switching genders as well, because that's the main plot of that story is that there's this place where men can go and sire children with these creatures, and then they will just transform their own bodies, and some of them take it well, some of them don't.
Yeah,
but that's an understatement. I was really surprised to see in this chapter that he included the mutants of Underworld, because I didn't think he was happy with that movie at all.
Yeah.
We've talked about Underworld a few times. We even did an audio commentary track for it, and it's a doozy to sit through, especially if you go through the extended version.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Underworld, David?
No, I have not.
Okay.
I can help you with that, but I don't guarantee that you'll be happy with me.
Now I'm kind of interested.
Yeah, it's mobsters versus monsters. So that's kind of the tagline for the movie there. It's kind of a proto-Nightbreed.
Yeah, but all of them are incompetent.
Yes. Everybody, the monsters and the mobsters.
Yeah.
So he also talks about Candyman, of course. At the time, there were two Candymans, so he's talking here a little bit about Farewell to the Flesh, which I think was a good sequel. It really fleshed out the myth of Candyman, even though it took it in a completely different direction to make him a spirit of someone who actually existed. So, but definitely there's a lot of good stuff in this book, and like you said, this chapter, even though it seems like it's a little self-serving, but it has to do with a theme that's going through this whole book of, horror and transformation, and it goes well with the other topics that we discussed today, I think.
Yeah, and it's certainly a topic that Clive himself really does touch on quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Cronenberg, except Cronenberg's transformations usually are something terrible, something that takes away your humanity, whereas in Clive Barker's stories, transformation is almost a transcendence, and it elevates people and puts them in touch with other, new realities and ideas that they never thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, do we have anything else to say about the A to Z of horror this time around?
I think I'm good.
Yeah. Well, coming up next, we're going to be talking about the epic Nightbreed comics, and we'll be talking about more A to Z of horror. Our last episode, W, X, Y, and Z. And we'll also be talking in a later episode about Clive Barker's Next Testament and the Leviathan book. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to those things. Hope I get a good number on that book. And you're getting the Clive Barker's. You're getting the Mark Miller's Next Testament book, right?
Yes. Actually, technically, I have two for some reason.
Oh, okay. They sent you two. All right.
Yeah.
So, have you had a chance to read anything yet?
No. I just flipped through the beginning of it just to see. I was surprised I had number 9.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's nice. Really low number. Nice, yeah.
Yeah. The other one I haven't taken out of the bubble wrap because I think it's some kind of mistake that I got it. So, I'm leaving it in the box for right now.
Okay. All right. Well, I would like to tell other people I would like to tell our listeners to go check out the Scene of the Week that was written by Rob in the blog, as well as David and Marcus's blog posts that have been popping up on the feed. So, there's a lot of cool stuff being written there, and I'm going to try to step up my game here, too, and start making some more blog posts and more features.
This podcast, having no beginning, will have no end. You can find the show notes for this episode, as well as lots of news and features at www.clivebarkercast.com. Leave comments there, or get them directly into the podcast by clicking the Send Voicemail tab on the right. Please follow us on Twitter at BarkerCast or at Occupy Midian. Like us on Facebook and join the Occupy Midian Facebook group. You can listen on the site or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Libsyn, TuneIn, Pocket Cast, Google Play, and Double Twist. Look for our apps in the iTunes Store or Google Play Store. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Please take a couple of minutes to leave us a review on iTunes. It means the world to us and helps us spread the word about Clive Barker. The Clive Barker Podcast, or BarkerCast, is an independent editorial fan site and podcast that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Films. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.